Hey guys, welcome to the channel. When Stranger Things dropped in 2016, everyone called it love letter to the 80s. But here's what most people miss. Nostalgia isn't just a creative choice. It's a production strategy. And what the Duffer Brothers pulled off was either incredibly risky or absolutely genius. Maybe both. Stranger Things bet everything on a decade that their main audience, Gen Z and young millennials, never even lived through. So you're Netflix and you just committed millions of dollars on a show about 1983 targeted people who were born in late 90s and early 2000s. That's not just creative, that's calculated risk-taking. And today we're breaking down whether Duffer Brothers were genius who saw what nobody else saw, or they got incredibly lucky. Let's go. Let's start with what they were actually betting on. It's 2015 and Stranger Things is just being developed. Netflix has already proved they can create original content. House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, these were hits. But they were contemporary, they were speaking to current audiences about current things. Duffer Brothers pitched a show about kids on bikes in small town in Indiana, 1983, with a monster from another dimension and Winona Ryder. From production standpoint, this is what that pitch actually meant. First, period authenticity. Every single shot had to be 1983. That means no modern cars accidentally at the background. Every prop, every piece of set dressing, every costume had to be sourced or created. You can't shoot everywhere. Locations have to look like 1983. Post-production has to remove everything that screams 2015. This isn't just set in the past. This is coordinating your entire art department, locations team, costume department, and post-production around a singular time period. The budget implications alone are significant. Second, cultural references. They weren't just set in the 80s. They were referencing Spielberg, John Carpenter, Stephen King, which means music licenses, expensive and complicated. Visual homages that your director have to execute perfectly. References your audience might not even catch. And here's the nightmare. You're spending money on details that your target audience might not even recognize. Third, the casting gamble. They've built a show around child actors. Not one kid, 4 main child actors. 5 even, plus an ensemble. If you ever worked with talent management, you know this is risky. Kids grow fast. Kids' availability is limited due to the labor laws. You're betting the entire show on these kids being able to carry dramatic scenes. And they cast relatively unknown kids, not Disney Channel stars with built-in audiences. So the question is, why take all these risks? Here's what I think the Duffer Brothers showed: real strategic thinking, whether they consciously planned it or not. Strategy 1. Nostalgia as a universal language. The 80s aesthetic isn't just for people who lived through it. It's been mythologized through music, movies, pop culture for decades. Think about it. Gen X and older millennials get direct nostalgia. Younger millennials and Gen Z got aspirational nostalgia. The idea of the 80s they learned from media. So, while the show is setting in 1983, it's actually drawing on 40 years of cultural references. That's a much bigger net that it initially seems. From a production perspective, this is actually really smart. You're not just appealing to one demographic. You're creating something that has multiple entry points. Plus, the story itself refers to several generations: kids, teens, adults. Strategy 2. Production value through constraints. The Duffer Brothers leaned into practical effects. The Demogorgon was often a guy in a suit. The Upside Down used practical smoke and lighting. This isn't just aesthetic tribute, it's budget smart. Practical effects can be cheaper and faster than extensive CGI. And when they did use VFX, it was targeted and specific. The wall scene with Will, the shadow monster, these moments land because they're not constant. Strategy 3. The nostalgia production ecosystem. This is where it gets really interesting from the management perspective. By committing fully to the 80s aesthetic, they created opportunities that modern set shows simply don't have. Music as character. Should I Stay or Should I Go? Running Up That Hill. Songs like that aren't just soundtracks, they're plot points. Yes, music licensing is expensive, but it does double duty. It's both atmosphere and storytelling. Merchandising opportunities. The 80s aesthetic is highly merchandisable. Posters, clothing, props, all of this has built-in appeal. This matters because merchandise revenue can offset production costs and justify higher budgets for future seasons. Brand partnership. Remember the Ego Waffles scenes? That happened organically, but it only could work because the show is rooted in specific details. Modern shows don't create these opportunities as easily. So nostalgia wasn't just a creative flavor, it was enabling an entire ecosystem of value. But here's the thing about strategy. Execution matters more than planning. Let me walk you through what had to go right for this to work. Casting lightning in a bottle. They needed 5 unknown child actors who could carry dramatic weight, have natural chemistry, be reliable for years of shooting. The odds of finding this gang all at once astronomically low, not mentioning Sadie Sink starting from the 2nd season. If even one of the kids couldn't deliver, the show doesn't work. And you don't know that until you're already shooting. Let's talk about the pilot episode. Netflix reportedly almost passed on Stranger Things after seeing early footage. The pilot needed to immediately establish the tone, nostalgic but campy, the mystery, where's Will, the characters make us care about kids we just met, the world. Hawkins feels real, all in 47 minutes. That's an execution challenge that's easy to underestimate. Sustaining the formula. Here's where a lot of nostalgia-driven shows fail. Once the novelty wears off, can you keep it going? So, from a production standpoint, each season had to maintain period accuracy. Harder as budgets grow and shoots get bigger. Introduce new elements without breaking the established aesthetic. Age up the characters while keeping the core appeal. With each new season, new characters, new threats, new, bigger world, everything gets bigger while staying true to the initial atmosphere. That's not easy. That requires serious production discipline. So, calculated risk or creative genius? It was calculated risk with genius execution. The Duffer Brothers made specific strategic choices. Period setting that appeals across demographics. Production constraints that actually helped manage budgets. Aesthetic that enables extended value, like merchandising and partnerships. Story structure that borrowed from proven genres. Spielberg, King, Carpenter. These weren't random creative choices. These were production decisions they clearly understood. But, and this is important, execution matters as much as strategy. If the casting had failed, it doesn't work. If the VFX didn't sell the upside down, it doesn't work. If the pilot didn't hook viewers immediately, it doesn't work. And here's what I think made a difference. They committed fully. The Duffer Brothers didn't do 80s light. They went all in. Every department, every decision, every frame. That level of commitment is rare. And this is what separates "this is a cool concept" from "this is a cultural phenomenon." If you're working in creative industries, this is what you can learn from it. Constraints can be advantages. Sometimes creative constraints force better decisions. Calculated risk requires total commitment. If you're going to take a risk, you have to commit to it fully. Half-hearted execution kills bold ideas. Strategy enables creativity. The business decisions like merchandising, music licensing, practical effects didn't compromise the creative vision. It supported it. Execution is everything. Great strategy with poor execution fails. The Duffer Brothers had both. So, was it genius? Was it lucky? I think it was both. Luck favors the prepared. The Duffer Brothers created the conditions where luck could happen. And that's a skill. So guys, that's it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to subscribe, go check my other videos, and see you in the next one. Bye!